All right, so today we're looking at the first file scan that we did. We got a 3D model of a couple different spots at the Aztec ruins. Right now, we're looking at one of the smaller kivas. In fact, this is actually on an elevated area. There's a much larger kiva, but one of them is kind of half excavated and kind of buried, while one of them was I had a hard time actually scanning the bottom, and it gives you a completely different outlook when you're able to see the bottom of the pit. Over here you can see what looks like maybe some storage areas. It's a little bit elevated, and then of course, as you see in the recreation of the larger kiva that we looked at, you're going to have that fire pit in the middle, usually with some sort of hole in the center. One of the things that really stood out to me about the structure of it was looking kind of at the side areas right here. First of all, it has a kind of key lock feature which pokes out on one side. On the other hand, you see these structures which kind of go up an angle, and then also they go in at a slight degree and then continue upwards. So that was kind of some of the things we found surprising about this one. Of course, you do see down around the very bottom circle, the stone is kind of wrapping around, and then it goes in again. So that's what we found at the kiva. Now, the second structure we're taking a look at today is going to be just a regular old room that we had access to. And I think we probably learned quite a bit from this one about not just technology, but also the structure of these things. If we zoom in a little bit, we can take a look at a lot of the actual masonry that's going on here. This is probably one of the lesser, the lesser of the exciting masonry that I was actually able to look at. So here you see the same T entrance that you see that are typical on a lot of these doors. But the masonry looks pretty simple. I've seen some masonry where there were layers that were actually almost perfectly thin. Something that you would see at like Upatki Park. But these stones are also fairly large. If you look towards the bottom, you kind of see what I'm talking about. That's the sort of the similar masonry that you would see at Upatki or some of the more improvised sites. But this one, again, it does date back pretty far. It dates back, I think, going back to 850 AD and up to right before the Huhukam's large decline. Now, if we look at this last rendering, this is going to be the third rendering that we've done. This one itself is actually really interesting because it goes back several doors. I mean, if we can actually move it around, and you can see right down the hallway and see that same T structure. It's almost built to like a beautiful extent that you can literally look down there and you can see all the way through all the doors. And we're talking about 5 separate rooms, including the exterior room. So if we flip it around this way, we're going to start at the gravel entrance. You can see in the first room, it's kind of small. It's eroded. The roof isn't really there. As you go into the second room, though, you start to see a little bit more of the masonry that we're talking about, the more improvised masonry. Let me see if I can get through here. Let me go through the wall. Now it's only let me zoom in. That's going to be the second room. And then the third room is going to have an actual roof. So you see you go through the first two, you're not really having to do much ducking. This one is actually very short. I believe it was probably about 3 feet. For some reason, it didn't render perfectly, but you get the point. Right there's a wooden beam. In fact, I think I got some of the I got some of the rendering inside where you can see the wood that was holding it up. But it was only about 3 feet, 3.5 feet tall. You almost have to do like a little bit of a duck walk to get in there. The next room you can see here, down the bottom, you see this black masonry. That was also pretty common throughout the site. You'd see a lot of dark masonry. It's not as prevalent in this one as some of the other ones that we've seen, because you would see very, very thick and obvious areas where they used a certain black rock that I'm not exactly sure what it was. Either way, the actual implementation of that was extremely interesting. And then as we rotate towards the back, you start to see the last rooms, which are a little bit taller. You can see even as we scanned it as high as we could, we still probably didn't get all of it, but it was extremely exciting to go into the back rooms where, of course, most people probably can't go, and also where people actually lived. And this is very deep into the Pueblo at this point. They did have one that was dark, and it kind of reminded me of this one. I'm assuming that one, if you check out the Revisiting History video, you'll be able to see basically what it would have been like going through this at nighttime, or even in daytime. The light is very, very dim. It's very, very dark, and the actual temperature is pretty low. It feels pretty cool down there. So I hope you guys enjoyed our renders. Like I said, we're going to keep recording history as we can, keep recording these renders, and I really hope you guys appreciate this.